Let's talk about body checking. Right, I am not going to do a demonstration for obvious reasons, but I can explain what they are, how they can be sort of almost unique, like a fingerprint to different people, and I can kind of explain what my were, point out what certain people's are, social media personalities and stuff from my opinion. So body checking, I don't need to explain really what that is. I think most people know, especially people who are watching a video like this will know what it is. If not, I'm pretty sure Google is good enough to tell you what that is. It can come in the most bizarre, hiding in plain sight type of form. And it usually happens like subconsciously. And the deeper someone is into an episode, the less they realize they are doing it. I did mention in one of my videos yesterday about my previous recovery playlist that I made a few years ago. I wasn't as recovered as I am now, and I did relapse more after that. That was kind of the point. It wasn't a proper recovery, and it's really in contrast to now. Wearing my baggy clothes. I'm not doing the demonstration about body checking. That would have been just the default of something that I would have done then, because I wasn't as self-aware about doing it. Even when I knew what it was and when I'd posted like overt body checks, on certain forums and stuff, then that was like, I knew I'd been doing that, but when I was in this quasi recovery, I would still be doing it, but it would be a lot more covert, and I wouldn't even realise that I was doing it. It would just happen. And like I mentioned in my previous video today, one of the forms it would take would be just being around other people, especially if I was on camera or something. Just knowing that I, next to them, that I was always the skinniest one. Even around children, the competitiveness is insane. Like, I would internally, mentally compete with like 8-year-olds. And even more alarming where they were a legit competition, because that's how underweight I was. It was, so dark. So it would take on strange forms like that. And what I did notice that when I was doing it in videos, and more in the covert way, was just certain poses that I would favour, certain body parts that I would do it with. And when I saw like other people do it, I would recognise that they were doing body checking. But I did notice that some of them would be really different to mine. For example, some of them would be tiny tummy and waist. And since this episode, obviously it's post having children, obviously my belly was tiny and my waist was tiny, but having had a few pregnancies, the skin wasn't super tight, so no matter how skinny I was, I just didn't have that taut look that is sought after by both ED and non-ED people alike. So yeah, waist and midriff was definitely not one of mine. However, face also wasn't one of mine, because unlike a lot of people who maybe have naturally good amount of weight on their faces, I know this god-awful trend at the moment for people to get the buccal fat removed so that they have this gaunt look. But me, I've always had kind of that look anyway. I've always had this, you know, that. And when I was really underweight, obviously that's more pronounced then. And at my age as well, since I'm over 40, even just getting older, your face just naturally loses weight and goes like that. So I just looked really bad, really gaunt, and it was too much even for me. It was like disproportionate with my body. Bizarrely, I felt like not that my face should be fatter, but my body should be skinnier. Fucked up, yeah, I know. So my face wasn't one of them, my torso wasn't one of them. And my legs were one, because I had really skinny legs. I had a big old thigh gap, like not just, you know, the one where you know you can just see a triangle at the top, or like a tulip shape. It was a full-on gap, you know, like you could fit in a third leg there. And I was really proud of that. I was proud of my twiggy, sticky knees. It was so gross, but I liked it. And the other one that I did have actually, that I shared with a popular YouTuber who I've noticed is obsessed with this one. She probably didn't realise that she is, but it's the hands and the wrists and the hand arm position, which I'll go into in a moment. But yeah, I mean, this person just has really narrow hands. Not only are the fingers really skinny and like a spider, like a, you know, Jack Skellington or whatever, but then having no weight on your hands makes them look so narrow. Even like you think like there's no fat here or tissue or whatever on the width, you know, on the side of your hands, but there actually is, because when you see this person's hand, they're like you know, like it seems like half the width of mine. It's really incredible how narrow they are. And this person is always like doing this crystal ball and you know, I don't think they realize they're doing it, but that is a covert body check. Another thing that they do that I definitely did, and I think this is maybe universal to all EDs, is the position of the arm. So now I'm going to demonstrate. Hopefully my arms are not triggering, because they're, you know, they're healthy-ish and I'm wearing baggy clothing. So there's a certain position that you can hold your arms in that only looks a certain way if you have ED, if you're underweight. And it's this. It's you know, it's like putting your arm to the front, or even just turning it that way, like that. When you are underweight, not only does that bit bend more because you have less tissue there, but also you have less stuff here to get in the way. So you just, without even trying, you just go like that, and your elbow goes boom right across there. And it's a look that can only really be achieved when you're very underweight. And I think all of us who get very underweight do that one. And it's like, that's not really a purposeful motion, because like I said, it just easily goes that way every time you put your hands forward to like make a gesture like okay, yeah, it just does that, you know. So yeah, it just comes naturally, but when we see it on screen, we'll be aware of it, and we're like, that looks right. This is like, no, normal people don't have that. And I see I'm naturally gesturing like this. It's old habits die hard. That is definitely one. Other ones were body checks that I perform alone, and they were so bizarre. I mean, one of them is maybe quite universal, and that's like, you know, seeing if you can get your fingers to touch when you put them around your arm at the top, with one hand, and then with two hands if you can do the same around your thigh. So I would do that, and like obviously they had to touch. I had to be able to close my fingers together, otherwise I wasn't light enough. And I think that one is quite universal, but I would have stuff like that was you know, somatic, alone performing ones that were maybe like more original, I don't know. One that I definitely remember doing a lot, like a body check. Oh, another one is like sorry. Fertilizing the fields today. It smells really bad. Excuse me, I just got some hand over my mouth. Where was I? Oh yeah, so yeah, just like subconsciously rubbing a collarbone, that's one. The one that I did that was quite unusual. Sun's in my eyes now. Pesky outside. Oh my god. The that I did was quite unusual. And this again is that you know, elbow pose. So I would get my elbow, which was always really bony, and I would dig it into my ribs here, which are also very bony, and feel it dig into each separation in the ribs. And when it was really like, it did it quite easily without having to press down like I do now, and it quite hurts actually, but that pain was like, oh, good. Oh, I perceive it as good. It was fucked up, yeah. So yeah, that's another one. So they can be like that. I mean, that wouldn't work on a video, really. It would just look weird, but it provided such great satisfaction and soothing to my ED at the time when I was really ill with it. So that's body checking. And oh yeah, one final body check is, this is quite toxic because it involves other people, and this was being picked up. I was just obsessed with being picked up. I would ask people to do it at the most inappropriate times. If people offered to do it, I would like revel in it and act really crazy and not want to be put down and stuff. Yeah, just subconsciously getting a thrill over them feeling how little that I weighed and how easily it was to pick me up. One time I was having intimate contacts with my partner, and it was my goal for me to do that while he was standing up and holding me, like carrying my whole weight, and then still managing to do that. And we did achieve it, you know, not even against the wall, just him standing up holding my weight while like, you know, making the motions that are necessary. You can't do that with someone who weighs a normal weight, not unless you're like Mr. Universe or something. So yeah, that was definitely a body check. And then, you know, like I said before, I would allow inappropriate situations where that would happen, like if my kids offered to pick me up, even when they were like small, you know, like 10 or whatever, I would let them do that, which is fucked up. And then yeah, certain people with maybe not the best intentions towards me would do it, and I would allow that, knowing that it was not great, enabling both my behaviour and theirs, and would not lead to good things. And yeah, I would do it regardless. It's like, yeah, anything goes. I would do anything I would have done anything to enable that shit. So that is body checking.